Your hands are sore, you're sweated in your suit, you're mentally starting to get drained, and you have to really focus on each individual turn, not to make a mistake, and push yourself to get deep down into the braking zone. Squeeze on the power as quickly as possible so you don't lose a gap getting onto the straight, as we're watching right there, and making sure that you can be as close to the competitor in front, so if that competitor bobbles, you can take advantage of it.
Well, you know, we mentioned about trying to fight their way back into the top 5. Tony Kanaan is the only driver to actually run every lap of all 5 prior races here. He's always finished in the top 5 in the 5 prior events. And right now, finds himself 9th. He's got a lot of work still to do and 15 laps remaining.
We talk about being physically fit. We just mentioned how tiring it is. Sometimes these are the races that you get out of the car and you just sit on the side of the cockpit and just sort of regain your composure because you are so physically beat up.
On board again with Franchitti. His best finish here, 2nd back in 2005. He also has a 4th and a 5th, but in 06, remember, he had a dismal race there, finishing 19th with some damage. Now, is he going to be close enough to go after TK down this front straightaway? Will he use the push to pass?
And TK has not been that strong under the braking zone into 1. Let's see what happens. Not close enough this time.
And did not pull the trigger.
TK knew he was looking, sort of ran a little bit of an earlier line going into turn 1 to use it a bit as a blocking routine.
All right, let's check back in on the race lead. There is Will Power, and right behind him is Justin Wilson. And Justin, each lap seems to get just a little bit closer, and a lot further back is Ryan Briscoe and Helio Castroneves. Right now, if it stays green, it looks like it could be a 2-car race between these two.
And making up time, Marty, is so hard. You're pushing so much each individual turn. The car is on the limit of adhesion, and you have to make sure you find that adhesion just a little bit more, but not so much that the car comes out from underneath you. And Will Power knows that he's getting closer. He's on the gas very soon.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you thought they were maybe just sort of pacing a little bit right there, but that Will Power slide sort of showed you that, no, they've got the hammer down and they're going after it.
Plenty of push to pass left, as we saw in that last graphic, so they'll be holding it to the very end. Remember, they need to think about if there is another yellow, they're going to want to have lots of push to pass left in the tank. So especially on the restart and for the first couple of laps around here, after restart, you want to be able to have lots in reserve.
That last lap was Will Power's fastest of the race. That's how hard they're pushing. 1 minute, 3.89 seconds. Vince?
Well, and remember, this is Will Power's first full season with Team Penske, and one of the reasons that he has come into such a comfort level is the man you see on the left-hand side of the screen, Dave Faustino. That's the engineer for Will Power. They worked together at Walker in 2007 and also at KV Racing in 2008, and in fact, Derek Walker recommended Faustino to Roger Penske. They went to Will Power and said, what do you think about bringing Faustino in to be your engineer? He said, absolutely, I'd love to work with him again. And Will cites that familiarity with Faustino as being one of the key reasons he's been able to transition to this team without missing a beat, and also helping the other drivers, Helio Castroneves and Ryan Briscoe.
And if you ask Roger Penske, what's the secret to success? He will always answer first. It's about the people.
And another person that is on that team from Walker Racing is Helio's engineer, Ron Brzezinski, who was also an engineer many years ago at Walker Racing. And you're right, it's all about the people and the harmony of how they work together. And remember, Derek Walker was a past employee of Roger Penske many years ago also.
Okay, the number you're seeing across the top of the screen right now, after the name, is the laps that they have run since they last made a pit stop. So that gives you an idea. You can see we move through the field. Should not be a problem as far as fuel for anybody up front. You can run it as hard as you want. They've all got enough gas to get her to the end.
Remember, this is when you have to push and get the utmost out of the car, but you are also a little bit tired. The tires are getting to be worn just enough. Maybe the best part of the tire life is actually gone. The car will slide out from underneath you just a little bit earlier than it would do if the tires were fresh. And you have to make sure you can find the optimum each and every lap, each and every turn. And we think about Alex Tagliani as he got a report on his BMW car that the tires are well used on that machine, but he's still keeping a gap to the car that's behind him which is Danica Patrick. Tags is in 5th, and Patrick is in 6th.
And this is the first stretch of the race where we really haven't seen any position changes for, you know, this was about a period of 3 or the last 4 laps. I mean, the most of this race has been somewhere on this racetrack. Somebody's been going after somebody's position.
And as we ride along with Danica Patrick now in her GoDaddy.com machine, you can see that she's got the red sidewalls on her car, so she has got the red tires now. They do come in much quicker. The drivers tell me that they go out in there, and the car usually is on tap, ready to go the first lap. The blacks take about 2 or 3 laps to get going, but the reds fall off sooner. The blacks stay underneath you. And with this long run you're talking about, Marty, you know, she's doing a great job battling that car to keep it up to where it is.
And we now have 10 laps remaining, and she's got Rafa Matos, and look on as Dario Franchitti's taking a look, and yes.
Yeah, we saw that TK has had some difficulty in the braking zone in 1. Have noticed that all the way through the race. Maybe the car's just not going over the bumps under braking, and right now Ryan Hunter-Reay, his teammate at Andretti Autosport, was starting to have a little bit of a look there. The drivers get their preference choice of the brake pads here. There's usually a soft and a hard brake pad that you can use, and it's up to the driver's preference of what he or she may like under braking. You get to look at all the data that you have along with the engineers to see maybe what is the best ones for you to get down to the corner under braking, but right now it doesn't seem like TK can really get that job done very well.
Yeah, and it looks like his streak of top 5 finishes here is in jeopardy at St. Petersburg. As we mentioned, he's finished in the top 5 all 5 years of this event.
Franchitti, nice line through there. Right down to the apex. Does he get on the back? Oh, look at Rahal just slicing against the wall.
Franchitti's down to 8, push to pass. Does he use one here? No. Let's get an update on Graham Rahal, Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, the car's fine right now. They've made some adjustments earlier in the days. Running on a set of blacks, he's okay. The thing with Graham this weekend is he has felt a lot of personal pressure. Coming from the team where he's done so well, he was on the pole here last year. 2 years ago, he won. He knows he can do well on this track. He wanted to bring a lot to the team. The team said he has delivered. He has given him so much information that they were able to work with, even though they didn't feel they had the right strategy in terms of the setup going in. But as you can see, all things considered, he's in a racy position. He's doing okay right now, but he's just got to be able to hold off Frank.
And Rick, it's interesting. I had a chance to speak to Graham's father, Bobby Rahal, who's won the championship 3 times and the Indianapolis 500. And I said, are you helping and assisting him? And he said, no, he is doing it all his own, going out there and looking for sponsorship. He has people working for him, but he's working with them, putting together the PowerPoint presentations. He's in the boardroom making the presentation itself. And he said, I'm quite proud of him, but if he's going to do it, he's got to learn to do it on his own. Watch Franchitti.
Here comes Dario, takes a look underneath. Into the braking zone, into turn 1, and he picks up the position. So move Franchitti now up to 8th position. Bump Rahal back to 9th. Danica Patrick still trying to hold off the ever-closing Rafa Matos, and now Dario Franchitti. And I think those reds have basically fallen off because she is losing contact with Alex Tagliani in front of her.
And she's certainly holding up the queue right now. And in this situation, I think that you're going to see Franchitti, if he can have a run on Alex Tagliani, he might just get himself up there because his car seems to be working not too bad. Now, Tag sees in his mirror that Franchitti is getting close. Excuse me, Rafa Matos is going to end up having to look in his mirror and see that Franchitti is getting close, so he knows that he's got to get himself past Danica Patrick.
Let's see what happens coming off turn 14 here.
Rafa, just a little bit of wiggle coming off the turn. Looks like it's going to be slow going down the straight for him.
Here comes Franchitti looking on the inside of Matos. On board with Dario. Down into 1. He picks up another spot. So Franchitti, who spun on the opening lap of this race, has fought his way back and is now moved into 7th.
And so for Rafa Matos right now in that HP car, he wishes that he had got himself past Danica Patrick earlier because he knows he probably could have made some space in between there. Now he's going to have the rest of the guys chomping at the bit behind him.
So the man on the move right now is right there in that number 10. Dario Franchitti, last year's champion of the series. They head down towards turn 10.
Now with the red tires that's on Danica Patrick's car, when they start to go off a little bit, because they're a softer compound, the car starts to squirm underneath you. You try to put your foot on the gas to come out of the turn, and the car just wants to wiggle underneath you. And with the blacks that Dario Franchitti has, power down.